Now you can hear me. All right, we're going to be adding window capture questions, home Dropbox, and we're going to put me in front. Order up. All right. Hello, everybody. We are going to be doing a small video today, which is called my Q&A that is like 2 months late. So I was actually going to record this a couple of days ago, and I had it already. I was going to upload it, and the audio kind of died. Anyway, this video is going to be split up into 2 parts. Part 1 is going to be this and me answering all the questions that I picked out from the video. Part 2 of the video will be me picking out the winners. So if you're impatient and you want to skip to the end, too bad, because you should watch the video. If you do want to skip to the end and you're impatient and you want to see the winners, click nowhere on the screen, because I'm not going to do annotations. You have to do it yourself, because if you're going to skip the video, man. Alright, anyway, on to the real video right now. So I picked out a bunch of questions that I thought were good, and if your question is one of these, then you have the chance to win the prizes. Remember, first place wins a $15 gift card, second and third place win $10 gift cards to the Cubicle. So, let's get started. Question 1 is by Born to Cube. He asked, what were your 3 best moments in your cubing career? Now, number 3 I can think of is organizing competitions and becoming a delegate. That is definitely one of the coolest things I've ever done. I really like organizing competitions, and I have a competition that's coming up, Slow and Steady, which you guys should all check out, that I really, really think that, like, that's kind of my, my pinnacle, highest competition I'm going to achieve. Because during the school year, it's hard to do a 2-day competition. So during this summer, like, the 2-day competition is going to be really exciting. Fingers crossed. Number 2 would be my one-handed national record, 1308. That was a pure, unspoiled moment of happiness for me. There are no world records out of that, but you know what? I didn't care. I had national record, and that's all that really mattered. And then finally, my third question, the third part, is number 1, the 5.09. And yeah, there were things that happened later in the day, and we're going to talk about that in this question and answer video. But like that one moment, I got it. Best moment I've ever felt in my life, period. Like, that's my crowning achievement. And that's not going to be my crowning achievement forever, but at that exact moment, it was. So there's that. And I have to find the others. There we go. Weird question. Why are you always so smiling and looking so happy? Is it a side effect of the pre-Stone Age webcam? Just joking, you rock. Serious question. You have a pretty good look ahead. Do you train specifically, or did it just come along with normal practice? So first part of this question, why are you always smiling and looking so happy? It's because I love doing YouTube. And I do know that sometimes I'm bad with videos and not putting out stuff on time. But I do like doing YouTube, and it does, like, that's one of the reasons why I'm happy and smiling all the time when I do these kinds of videos, because I enjoy doing it. Also, I picked this question because of the pun, the pre-Stone Age webcam, and just joking, you rock. It's pretty good. And the serious question, you're pretty good look ahead, you train specifically or just come along with normal practice. I did a lot of one-handed, so I would do one-handed solves, and when you're doing one-handed solves, there's a lot of the cube that isn't covered up by your right hand that you can see, so that helps. And then second off, one-handed, you turn much slower, which is another reason why you need to have good look ahead for one-handed, which is why, that's just how I really developed one-handed. Some people like do training and practice. I didn't do any of that. I just did one-hand. Next question. Does the song Pink Fluffy Unicorns Dancing on Rainbows have a positive effect, proven positive effect, on 3x3 souls? The answer to that question is actually no. The song that I got the 4.74 on was Going to the Store. So that one, I can prove by example that it's the best song ever. By the way, proof by example is not really a thing. That was a joke. Next question is by Axel Aronson. Would you rather use an enjoyable cube and get bad times, or use an unenjoyable cube and get good times? Now, this I need to get a couple of cubes for. So, first off, the first part, use an enjoyable cube and get bad times. Now, it depends on the cube. See, it depends on how much I like it. So, for example, this cube right here, the Alpha 5, I love this cube. It is the clickiest, most satisfying cube to turn ever. The problem with it is that it pops and it turns slow and it doesn't corner cut. So, would I use that cube in competition? No, but I love using it at home. In competition, I use the best cube that will get me the fastest times. And at some moments, they've been cubes that I really haven't enjoyed. For example, the way long. I hate the feeling the way long. It's just not clicky and responsive enough. It's very, very smooth, and that's good. Like, some people will really enjoy that, but I personally didn't. I'm more of a clicky cube guy. So Tanglong, I love the Tanglong. So it's a bit of both. In competition, I'll use the unenjoyable cube and get good times, though. Next question comes from Fabio Schwant. Why are buildings called buildings when they're already built? And why are apartments called apartments when they're together, not apart? So apartments are called apartments because people live apart from each other in different spaces. If they were lived together, they would be called togetherments. And they all live in one room. One room. Would you like to live with a bunch of people in one room? Personally, I wouldn't. I'm not a togetherment kind of guy. Next question comes from Natalie, who asks, why is Tommy's hair so savage? See, savagery comes from the inside. And what that means is that the effects of the savageness of the body come from the entire huge amount of savagery in the soul. Tommy is savage. Next question by Jack Budlow. And this is a very serious question that I'm gonna take a step back. I'm like, walk us through the world record day, like what was happening and what were you thinking, feeling? Well, let's start at the start of the day. I had Chris Olsen at my house, so we together drove to the venue, we set up, everything seemed normal. Then during one-handed, I get a 9.42 single, which is very good for me. It's my current personal best. And that was great. I was so excited. I was so happy. And then 2 solves later, I get a 911 and I +2 it. That would have been national record at the time. It's now no longer going to be national record, but at the time it was. And so I was I was upset as I could be about missing a national record. You can see the video of it in my channel. So you can see what kind of reaction I had. And that kind of bummed me out, but at the same time, I got a 942. So, like, I had good and I had bad. So at that point in the day, I'm like, all right, whatever. Things have balanced out. Then I got the 509. But before that, Tanzer ball and toss. That same round got a 621. So I'm like, all right, that's pretty cool. Tanzer got a good time. So I sit down, I start the first scramble, and I'm immediately like, I know exactly why Tanzer got a 621. This scramble was very easy. And of course, I do the solve, and it's a 509. And it was the world's best solve at the time that I got it. And there are videos out there of my reaction, and I admit I overreacted, but I want to say it's slightly justified given the magnitude of the record and how unlikely it was for me to be able to get it. It's really up to you if you think it was justified or not, but that's not the whole point of this. At that moment, I was on top of the world. I've never felt more accomplished than that specific moment. At least in cubing. In cubing, I've never felt more accomplished, because that's the end goal. World record for 3x3. That's the end goal. That is it. Once you get it, you can't go higher. You can beat your time, but you can't get any higher in ranking. So that, I was so ecstatic. I had people asking for pictures and autographs, and you know, I was famous enough. I've done autographs, but I've never had people come and ask me for picture after picture after picture. People videotaping me. How did you feel about that solve? I'm like, whoa, man. I was just elated. I've never been happier in my life. And 3x3 third round, Lucas got his 4.9, and I went over, I gave him a hug, like, I was very happy for him. But at that moment I realized, like, my fame, my status, my well-knownness, I guess, gets completely overshadowed. Not only did Lucas beat my solve, he got sub 5. Like, that's hard to do. And, you know, props to Lucas. Like, I don't feel any negativity towards Lucas at all. And I think he's a wonderful guy, and there's nothing wrong with that. And the only thing that I'm upset about from that day is the fact that my solve is not considered a world record by any means. Now, I understand why the WC does this. It's to prevent, like, because normally what happens is a record will be broken at 2 different places, and you don't know when someone breaks it. But this case, this scenario, clearly because you have to finish a round before you can start the next round, I clearly had the record before Lucas did. I clearly got my solve in before that. And so all I would like to see on my profile is history of world records. Now, is that going to happen? Probably not. Is it the end of the world for me? No. So, apart from that, like, I'm fine. And after the competition ended, I went out to dinner with Lucas and a bunch of other people, and we had a great time. And, like, I didn't really let it down on me. But since then, you know, I've learned to live with it. Like, one thing that I always wanted in the human community was to be able to be known. And yeah, people do know who I am. But, like, I have people ask me what cube Lucas used for his 4.9 when I'm at competitions. I'm like sitting on a table with people, and people are like, oh, what cube did Lucas use? And I'm like, he used an Outlawn. And, you know, part of me wants it to be me. Part of me wants people to ask, oh, what cube did Keaton Ellis use to get 2nd place? Nobody asked that question. 2nd place is the first loser. So, you know, sometimes you just have to live with it and deal with it. And that's one of the things that I have to do with not having a world record. Anyway, next question. What is the most life-changing experience in your life? Well, probably cubing. Cubing is hands down, the most life-changing thing I've ever done. Because right now, I'm a WC delegate, I'm a competition organizer, I'm a former record holder for national record for one-handed, not for 3x3, at least officially. And I haven't said this publicly, but I'm going to be interning at the Cubicle.us this summer, working for them. So it's got me a job, it's got me fame a little bit. So, like, if I didn't cube, I mean, obviously I'd be doing something else. I don't know if it'd be more productive or not. But, like, if I didn't start cubing, my life would be completely different. So, it's definitely something that's impacted me a lot. And if I could go back in time to talk to yourself before you start cubing, what would I tell myself? I'd tell myself to just do it. And you know, I would not have done anything differently until this point. Maybe I would have tried to be a bit more social at competitions at the start, but apart from that, like, since then, I think I've done everything right. Well, I probably would have organized Beaver Hill Winter 2014 better. We don't talk about that competition. We talk about the ones that I organized well. Well, we do talk about the mistakes from that, but that's off topic. Next question. What are the major differences you've seen between college and high school? Definitely schedule. Schedule. It's currently 9:43 p.m. I'm doing this after that. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't have to go to bed until midnight. I don't have to go to bed. Like, I can do whatever I want. I can skip class tomorrow if I wanted to. Like, if I wanted to just skip class and do something else and then come back and try and find notes for the class and go to office hours and get notes from friends and study later, I can do that. It's perfectly fine. There's nothing stopping me from doing that. There's no, like, oh, you're going to get kicked out of school. Oh, like, you're going to have a bunch of tardies. No. And it differs per person. Like, I know some people who didn't like the freedom of college and who have gone on to do things that have a rigid schedule, which they prefer. And you could set a rigid schedule for yourself if you want. But at the same time, you know, you could be free with things. So, like, I did a bunch of homework today, so I'm rewarding myself with being able to do stuff like this. What cube surprised the most out of the box? Recently, it's been the Mayu. That was pretty bad out of the box. And I don't have a new one, and I didn't really try to make mine good. I've tried Mayus that have been good, but my personal Mayu was very disappointing out of the box. I guess a positive one, the GANS 356 SV2 is pretty good. I haven't lubed it, and it's still a decent cube. Like, it's a little too flexy for me, but like it's definitely a good cube, and I can see people using it, which is probably why Felix uses it as his main cube. Next question comes from, if I click the button, the Apple Cuber. Would you rather have a world record in 3x3 single sub Lucas or a nice steaming bowl of rice? See, I don't have to answer this one because you guys already know the answer. Double week. SF Cuber asks 4 questions. And you labeled them 1, 2, 3, and 5. Okay. Number 1, do you like a smooth or scratchy cube better? Well, I dislike the Waylon, which is a very smooth cube, and I love the Apple 5, which is a really scratchy cube. So I think you can guess my answers from that. I think scratchy cubes are significantly better, and I just love the feeling of them. But let me rephrase that. I like cubes that are smooth, but I like scratchy cubes better. How far did you want to go in cubing? Well, saying that I'm second in the world for 3x3 single, like there's only one more rank I can go up. I want to get world records. And that's my current goal. But for number 3, did I think I would get this fast when I started? No. My goal is sub 10. My goal wasn't world records. My goal was sub 10. And you know, when I got sub 10, I'm like, all right, I have to set more goals. So first it was top 100 in the world, then it was sub 9, then it was top 50 in the world, then it was sub 8. And now that I'm sub 8, top 20 in the world? I'm 23rd right now. Top 20 in the world would be pretty cool. Number 5, how long did it take you to get sub 20? What about sub 10? I started speed cube. I knew I had a solid cube a couple, summer of 2009, but I really started getting into speed cubing fall of 2011, and I got sub 20 about 6 months after that. Sub 10, I got officially sub 10 fall 2013, which is like 2 years after I started speed cubing. I got unofficially sub 10, which means like I was sub 10 at home. Fall 2014, so it took almost a year. So I got really lucky with my 970 average, and my current average in competition has always been faster than my overall average, which I guess is a good thing, better than the other way around, to be honest. So I'm glad that I do well in competition. Will Callan, do you see yourself becoming a delegate at some point? I don't know if you guys noticed, but up at the top here, it says screenshot 2016-124. Yeah, these are taken before I became a delegate. At that point, when I took the screenshot, I did see myself becoming a delegate. I had a desire to be one. I also understood that it's difficult. One of the problems that I have is if I ever get a world record at a competition I delegate, there's going to be some suspicion. And I understand that. People are going to be suspicious about the fact that, oh my god, a delegate got a world record. And it's understandable. Like, yeah, it'll be suspicious if I ever get a world record at a competition I hold. My only hope is that I get a world record at a competition that I didn't generate the scrambles for, so it seems fair. Like, if I generate the scrambles and I get a world record on them, like, there's always going to be suspicion. And I don't like that, but at the same time, I wanted to be a delegate. Like, I really, truly wanted to be able to host and delegate competitions because I feel like I have a really strong drive to do that, and I feel like I have the experience. So, now that I am a delegate, things are a little easier, you know, I feel like people will trust me to do the right thing, which is why I became a delegate. So, yeah, let's look forward. I look forward to being a delegate, and I'm delegating my first competition as me as the sole delegate, May 29th. Cube for your Spring 2016. Cube for a Spring Cube for a Cure Spring 2016 is my first delegating competition. So, woo! Okay. Solar Cubing asks, do you speak watermelon? The answer is no. I only speak one language, and that is mathematics. Just kidding, it's English. Do you think Noah Arthur's is Andrew Ricci with more hair? Actually, they don't look that much alike anymore. They used to, but I don't know. That joke kind of got old a little while ago. Are you excited about the Moyu Liu Su? Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Why is the Diane Panchie so sexy? Well, I mean, if sexual attraction to a cube is based on how bad it is, then I guess it is pretty sexually attractive. Yeah, Panchie was not a good cube. Okay. What is the probability that Felix will tell us the rice pudding recipe, then Lucas Etter buys it for 10K, then it turns out to be Chris Olsen's secret Illuminati organization that was set up by Kevin Hayes with Tractus 50K and Maru Lu made in the Canadian factory from Nunavut with nobody working in it, and only one armed Lego robot specially made by Crazy Bad Cupid that is specially made secretly by an anonymous person from HK Asteroid that strictly promotes the cubicle who also made cubes easy a bad story by killing every good staff but one person survived, which happened to be Phil Yu, which moved on but found out that Noah Arthurs was legally eating old plastic dye in 2x2s, which is why there's not many anymore, which led to a massive outcry to the cubing universe, which caused Drew Brads to use the link pose, caused Yushin to step up the game, and made Matt's Falls Collins Gans at Doylestown 2015, forcing him to make him use the Yushin, breaking the 5.55 world record and stop Felix from getting sponsored by Moyu. Okay. So, yeah. The probability of that probably approaches 0. Probably approaches 0. Yeah. SYWY1874 asked, who would win a hot dog eating contest, Pavon Revenge or Andy Kwong? Well, see, now I have a choice. Do I insult Andy or do I not? The answer is yes, I insult Andy. Andy will eat more hot dogs because Andy is Andy. Nikolai Peterson asked, if you weren't a cuber, what would you be? How did you get into cubing? First question, I'd probably still be playing Yu-Gi-Oh! You know, I still have some Yu-Gi-Oh! Videos on my channel way back when I was like 14 years old. And I like playing. The reason I quit was because there was no no Yu-Gi-Oh! Stores, no card shops where I lived. And like I could drive an hour, I could have my parents drive me an hour to go play some Yu-Gi-Oh! But like it wasn't worth it. Like I didn't make new friends in the place where I went to because I didn't live near them. None of my friends at school played, so I just kind of phased out. How did I get into cubing? I learned how to solve it on my own. Well, with a pamphlet that came with the Rubik's Cube. And I met Yushin Chen back in high school, and she really got me into speed cubing. She taught me Tuluk, and I sort of learned F2L from her. And then I moved to Maryland, and I met Felix Lee, and he helped me finish F2L and really inspired me to get faster, because my goal was to get faster than him. And I didn't make it by the time he predicted me to, but I eventually did. So, well, there's only one person in the world faster than me now, and it's not Felix Lee. So, sorry, Felix, I love you. Felix is a pretty cool guy, and if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't be as fast as I am now. I probably would be doing something else. Because I feel like cubing is really, you need people with you. If you don't have people with you, it's really hard to retain motivation, and which is why I'm really surprised there's so many people out there who come to competitions are their only exposure to other cubers. Because I probably would have quit, to be honest. Like, I have Tommy and Andy and Tanzer and Pavon, and like the number of cubers that went to my high school it's like more than 15. Like, I think it's only 10 in WCA. Maybe more. And then at UMD, we have like a nice sized cube club, like 15, 20 people. So like, I've always been surrounded by cubers since I started. And if I didn't have that, I don't know where I'd be right now. Probably still cubing at this point. Anyway, next question is by Liquid Jung S. In the past, have you ever gotten discouraged by watching fast cubers? And if so, how did you find motivation? I actually find a lot of motivation and encouragement by watching fast cubers because they have a bunch of different styles. So if you ever watch one of Colin Burns' videos, like he's so good at F2L, he's mind-blowingly good at F2L. But you know he doesn't learn a lot of last layer Alex. Jabari Nerudin knows bajillion Alex. Million bajillion Alex. That's a literal number. He knows so many Alex. And that's a specialty, you know. You give him a last layer case, he's like, oh yeah, I know that one. Like, even if it's like some terrible case that you've never seen before, he knows everything. And then people like me, I'm an inspection guy. Like, I can see relatively far in inspection compared to the average cuber, which is why I'm pretty fast, because my cross plus one's good, because I can see it in inspection all the time. 100%. I 100% see first pair. So I like watching different types of cubers and their styles. so I don't really find discouragement by watching Faster Keepers. Justin Sauter asks, what is your most important goal in life other than YouTuber cubing, i.e. careers, relationships, impact, stuff like that? Well, I do hope to find a career that I really enjoy. I hope to find something that because I prefer job security over money. So if I can find a secure job that gets me enough to live happily and comfortably, I'll take that. Relationship-wise, probably just what everyone else has, get married, maybe have kids. I don't know. I'm 18 years old. It's hard to be able to guess the rest of my life when it's only a quarter over, and that quarter has been school. I don't know. I'll figure it out. Pinky promise I'll figure it out. Tubbs Neko asks, is your face golden white or black and blue? Can you sing another song? Songs will come eventually. I'm kind of tempted to do like a legit song cover sometime. Like a legit one. And then my face is actually white and yellow. I'm half Asian, half white. So, yeah. I also see the dress black. Not black. I see the dress white and gold, by the way. So, I see white and gold. If you see it blue and black, I don't think we can be friends anymore. Garen11 asks, if you had a tortoise large enough to mount a literal water cannon like Blastoise, by how much would you be willing to increase your water bill? Well, actually, I could mount... Oh, this is a genius idea. Okay, so one, I don't pay for water because I live on campus, and that's included, and they don't charge for like using a bajillion gallons of water. And I go to a school where our mascot is a terrapin. So now what I want to do is take 2 hoses, bring it to one of the terrapins on campus, like one of the testudo statues on campus. If you've ever gone to Sloan Steady and you went to Stamp Uni, you know what I'm talking about. They have gigantic statues of terrapins because that's our mascot. I want to take 2 water hoses and bring them to testudo and turn it into Blastoise now. That's a genius idea. I've looked at this question. I've recorded this multiple times. I've never thought about that idea before. So, like, Garen 11. Solid question. Next question comes from FP9623 and asks, what question do you hate to answer? Now, this is a very... I actually like this question a lot. I hate answering the question, what did you feel when Lucas got his 4.90? I feel like that's a very disrespectful question to ask. Because I think you can guess how I felt. Like, part of me felt like, congratulations to Lucas. Part of me felt, wow, crap, I just got my record broken. And, the amount of times I didn't answer that question, I always answer the same way. How did you feel when Lucas got 4.90? Oh, I felt good for Lucas. But you know what? Do you want me to answer the question? Like, oh yeah, I felt like crap, man. I hate Lucas. I don't hate Lucas. And I feel like that question just... There's no way for me to answer that without either being disappointing and, not being entertaining enough for people. Or, me just talking crap. So, I mean, if you want to ask me a question, if you want to do some sort of, like, question, because someone interviewed me one time, they, like, put a camera in my face and they asked how I felt, and I gave them that answer. Like, that question actually bugs me a lot. So, if you want to ask me a question, if you want to, like, do any of that kind of stuff, ask me an interesting question. Ask me something I've never heard before. Ask me something that isn't the same question over and over and over again. Yeah, I hate answering that question. Skeleton Mage asks, what are your mains and PVs for the events that you were part of? Okay, so what I could do right now is do a mains video within a Q&A video. Actually, yeah, I think I'm going to do that. So there are really only a few events that I care about. They are 3 through 7, one hand, and 7 by 7. What? Square 1. God. Oh my gosh, I messed up big time. 3 through 7, one hand, and square 1. I also do Scube, and I also do FMC. For Scube, I use the Moyu. The cheese is good, but I haven't lubed mine, and it's like super fast for me, so I just haven't bothered like trying to make it good. Now, on to the rest of the puzzles here. Let me gather them all up. For 3x3, we use the Golguan Yue Xiao. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I use this one. I also have a second one, which is here. This is a Cubicle Premium one made by Phil. This is a one made by Andy, which I guess they're both Cubicle Premium cubes. But I switch off between them. One's a little faster than the other, so I switch between them. I like both of them. For one-handed, which is my specialty event, I use a Meiying, a Cubicle Premium Mei. It's good. I mean, it gets the job done. I used a Yueying for the longest time, and I still really like this cube. It's just a little too slow for me. For 4x4, I use an Aosu, one of the original ones from 2014. 5x5, I use Yushin. 6x6, I used an Aoshi. 7x7, I used an Aofu cubic. And square one, I used Chi with a special nut inside of it. So it uses the not the standard nut, but one of the newer one of the 632 nuts. So yeah, those are the mains that I have. My PBs I'll put in the doc down in the description. So West Cubes Q asked, what is your favorite moment at a cube competition, and how did you get glasses? So glasses, I started, I guess, losing my vision in 6th grade. Not really losing it in the sense that I'm going to go blind one day, but losing it is in like I don't see as well as I used to. So there's that. My favorite moment of a cube competition, that's a hard question to ask. I have some of my favorite moments. Some of my favorite moments include pranking Andy and pranking Pavan. There is another prank that's going to be planned because it's part of a trilogy. Who's getting pranked? Where? When? That's information for me to know and for you to find out in a video in a couple of months. I got pranked at a competition. You know how I hate plastic wrap on my cubes? Well, I submitted one of my cubes to the scrambling table, and Burly Burrier was scrambling. What he did while I was waiting for my cube, he took plastic wrap and put it around my cube, and then he gave it to the judge. Silly, silly, silly Billy. But it's kind of hard to determine my favorite moment at a competition. Probably U.S. Nationals Finals for 2014. That was one of my favorite moments. As well as, man, the records that I've gotten, those have been pretty interesting. And then watching other people do well, it feels good as well, because, then when you're driving home on the way back, they're not upset because they didn't get any personal best. So those would be some of my favorite moments at competitions. Next question by Jake Elspass. How has your family promoted hindering your cubing career, if at all? My family has been very, very supportive of me. Initially, they didn't like the noise, but I think over the past 4.5 years of me cubing, they've sort of gotten used to it by now. They do take me to competitions, and, because of that, I try and look out for them as well. This past year, I had the opportunity to go to Worlds. I turned that down, and my parents were telling me, we'll fly you to Worlds so you can compete. But I turned that down. I told my family that I wanted to go to U.S. Nationals so we could all have a good vacation together instead, and I don't regret that one bit. And then, not a question, I just want to say I love your personality and bubbliness in your videos. You're always just so happy and it really brings a smile to my face whenever you upload a new video. Thank you so much. See, those types of comments just make me feel so good about myself, and they make me feel like what I'm doing on YouTube is liked by people, which makes me feel good. Next question by Louis Gavasson 2. What was the hardest speed barrier you had to overcome in 3x3? That was probably sub 15 or sub 10. Sub 15 took me like a couple weeks, but that couple weeks was just me practicing hundreds and hundreds of solves per day. I was determined to get sub 15. I did it an average of 100, telling myself I would DNF every single solve that wasn't sub 15. I got 20 solves in, I had like 10, 15 DNFs, and I just quit. I was so mad. Don't do that. That's not a good way to practice getting sub 15. Sub 10 took a long time. Like I said earlier, it took me almost an entire year to go from sub 10 officially to sub 10 at home. And that partially because I got lucky with my sub 10 average in competition, partially because, I don't know, I guess I changed my style to be able to inspect more and to have better look ahead, because before that I was turning faster. And now I turn about the same speed with better look ahead. And then do I ever get so sick of cubing that I force myself to practice? That answer is no. When I don't feel like practicing, I do not practice. Simple as that. So, like, when I feel like practicing, I will. And I often feel like practicing, which is why I stick with cubing, but I don't force myself to practice. There's no time where I'm like, oh my god, I have to practice for this. I guess what I do more practice than normal around nationals, but that's because that's in anticipation, and that's just me being excited for it. But no, I don't force myself to practice. Next question comes from Elijah Anderson. Why doesn't glue stick to the inside of a bottle? I don't actually remember why I picked this question. It's kind of silly. But glue probably doesn't stick to the inside of a bottle because it is I don't have a good answer for this. Okay. Glue probably sticks to the inside of a bottle because it is because the inside of the bottle is made with special plastic that doesn't stick, or it's an exposure to oxygen, or mixing around. I don't know. Anyway, next question is blank. Next question by Cade Green. What is your favorite competition that isn't generalist like Nats? Who's your favorite organizer of one of the small competitions? I think Sassy Cadmus, who organizes the Virginia Opens, is one of the best organizers I've ever seen. Her competitions always run smoothly. She has a great team of volunteers to help her out. Her venue is absolutely fantastic with the lighting and the sizing. So I would definitely say Sassy Cadmus in terms of competitions. Like every Virginia I've gone to has been just a top-notch competition that I would highly recommend to anyone in the area. It's worth the drive because those competitions you're not going to get anywhere else. Personally, I also think that my competitions are pretty good, but they're different. Sassy's competitions are small and feel homely, while my competitions, at least for me, feel like almost it's like a mini nationalist kind of level with 2 stages, hectic. We're always like pushing people, while Sassy's are more laid back and friendly. Okay. So the last question that we have is by Tim Y, the Cuber guy, who asks, have you ever sneezed during a solve to cause you to screw up? And the answer to this is probably. I do know when I have big cube solves and I have to itch my face, those are the worst because you end up having to like either stop with one hand to scratch your face or to scratch something, or you just have to live with it for the entire solve, and like 5 minutes of uncomfortableness, not worth it. So with that question, that is every single question that I had that I wanted to answer. So if you've seen your question, you be nervous because it could be one of the ones that I'm picking. I don't know if you noticed, but I cut for a second. I added these 3 tabs to Firefox, and they're special tabs because they each contain one of the winning questions. And so in third place, we're going to have the question in this tab, which was, if you had a tortoise large enough to mount a literal water cannon, by how much would you be willing to increase your water bill? This question I picked because my school mascot's a terrapin, and I like terrapins and turtles, and I'm going to do this idea. and that's going to be video. When it gets a little warmer out, like it's warm right now, it's like in the low 70s, but like when it gets to like 85, you know, when finals are coming around, as a break, I'm going to do this. Pinky promise. So congratulations, Garen11. I guess I'll try to find a way to message you and give you a $10 gift card to thecubicle.us. In second place, we have, drumroll, Solar Cubing with his 5th question, which I am not going to take the time to read that again, but I thought that was very creative. Yeah, it's very creative. So congratulations, Solar Cubing. You have also won a $10 gift card to thecubicle.us. Finally, and I'm gonna take a step back for a second before I talk about the final one. The reason I picked this question was because of the way it was worded. This question was by Jack Budlow. He said, walk us through the world record day, like what was happening, what were you thinking, feeling? There were a lot of questions that were like, how did you feel when Lucas got his 4.90? And people might complain that this question is very similar to theirs, but this one was worded, I felt, in such a way that it wasn't really offensive. Like, I don't take that much offense, and I mean, I don't like the question, how'd you feel when Lucas got a 4.9? But this one, like, didn't have any of that at all. It was very kind of, not, like, pecking at me. It was just telling me to go through the whole day. So, I picked this one to be my $15 card winner. Am I going to do another Q&A video after this? No. Do not leave comments down in the description. If I'm going to do a Q&A, I will announce it live, and I will probably stream it on Twitch. So, we'll do that instead of this.